BMW just did something almost every car enthusiast on the planet thought was impossible in 2028. While every single rival on the market is going electric, silent, instant, and honestly, a little soulless, BMW looked at the calendar, looked at the entire industry moving one direction, and did the opposite. The 2028 cubic meters is still running a full combustion engine. No hybrid assist pretending to be a personality. No fake engine sound piped through the speakers. A real, honest-to-God engine that revs to 7,000 RPM and screams the whole way there. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why enthusiasts are calling this the last great M3 ever built, and why that title might be more true than anyone wants to admit. Let's rewind for a second, though, because to understand why this car matters, you have to understand what it's carrying on its shoulders. The M3 nameplate isn't just another trim-level BMW slapped on a sedan to sell a few extra units. This badge has been the benchmark for performance sedans since 1986, over 4 decades of BMW proving, generation after generation, that a car could take your kids to school on a Tuesday morning and then absolutely demolish a racetrack that same Saturday afternoon. Every M3 before this one added something to the formula. More power, better handling, sharper design. But the 2028 cubic meters? This one is different, and not because of what BMW added, but because of what they refused to take away. While Mercedes is hybridizing the C63, while Audi is quietly walking the RS4's successor toward electrification, while the entire industry is racing toward a silent, digital future, BMW made a deliberate, almost stubborn choice to keep the combustion flame alive, at least for one more generation. Why? Because somewhere inside BMW's M division, someone remembered something a lot of car companies seem to have forgotten. Driving was never just about getting from point A to point B efficiently. It's about feeling something on the way there. And that's exactly the promise this car is built to keep. Now let's actually talk about how this thing looks, because BMW clearly wasn't interested in playing it safe here. Pause. The 2028 cubic meters wears a body that's more sculpted, more aggressive, and more purposeful than anything the nameplate has worn before. The fenders are wider, and I don't mean wider for the sake of looking mean. I mean wider because they're actually housing a wider track and a genuinely track-ready stance underneath. Pause. Up front, there's a redesigned splitter that isn't just there for visual drama. It's generating real, measurable downforce at speed. And yes, let's address the kidney grill, because BMW knows exactly what you're thinking. Pause. After a few generations of, let's call them polarizing designs, BMW toned the grille down here. Still bold, still unmistakably BMW, but proportioned in a way that actually complements the rest of the car instead of dominating it. You'll know exactly what you're looking at from 3 cars back in your mirror, and that's the point. Around back, you've got quad exhaust tips that aren't just cosmetic bookends. Pause. They're functionally tuned to produce that unmistakable M3 growl, the kind of sound that makes people's heads turn in parking lots. Carbon fiber shows up across the roof, the mirror caps, the rear diffuser. And here's the thing that separates a proper M car from a car that just looks fast. Every single one of these elements is function first, aesthetic second. Somehow, BMW made both work together without compromising either. Step inside, and this is where things get genuinely interesting. BMW's latest curved display setup dominates the dashboard. Sharper resolution, faster response times, and a more intuitive interface than anything they've ever put in an M3 before. But here's the detail that's going to surprise a lot of people. Despite going all in on digital tech everywhere else, BMW deliberately kept physical controls for the essentials that matter most when you're actually driving hard. Drive mode selector, physical dial, volume control, physical knob. Because when you're pushing this car to its absolute limit on a racetrack at 140 miles an hour, the last thing you want to be doing is swiping through a touchscreen menu trying to find the button you need. The seats have been completely redesigned too. Deeply bolstered, carbon fiber back bucket seats that hold your entire body in place through corners that would throw you sideways in a normal luxury sedan. And here's the part that still makes the M3 special after all these years. Yes, it still has real back seats. Yes, you can genuinely fit your kids, your friends, your groceries. That's the magic trick BMW has been pulling off for 40 years. Supercar-level performance wrapped inside everyday, practical, four-door usability. Alright, let's get to the part you've actually been waiting for. Under that long, sculpted hood sits BMW's reworked twin-turbocharged inline-six. And here's the wild part. In a world where every manufacturer is squeezing efficiency out of every engine they build, BMW somehow squeezed out more performance from this one than ever before. We're talking output numbers that would have put this car in genuine supercar territory just a decade ago. 0 to 60 happens in a time that used to be reserved for six-figure exotic Italian machinery, and this is a car with a back seat. But honestly, the numbers aren't even the best part. It's the sound. It's that inline-six howl building and building as the RPMs climb. The crack on every upshift that hits you right in the chest. The way this car settles into a corner like it's been bolted to the tarmac. This isn't a car that just goes fast in a straight line and calls it a day. This is a car engineered to make you feel every single mile per hour. Think of it like this. Driving a modern EV is like teleporting. 1 second you're here, the next you're there. Instantly, silently, efficiently. Driving this M3 is like flying a fighter jet. Every one of your senses is engaged. Every input you make gets rewarded with feedback. There's a conversation happening between you and the machine. And that conversation is exactly what's disappearing from most new cars right now. Here's something most people watching this don't actually realize. Pause. BMW engineers reportedly fought, internally, hard, to keep this combustion engine alive for one more full generation, even while the competition moved on. The Mercedes-AMG C63 went hybrid turbo 4. Audi's RS4 successor is leaning further into electrification with every leaked report. Which means this M3 is one of the very last of a dying breed, a full combustion, driver-first performance sedan, arriving right at the moment the entire market is walking away from that exact formula. And here's a detail that genuinely changes how I look at this car. Rumor has it BMW actually brought in track day engineers, real drivers who compete on weekends, and had them directly involved in tuning the chassis. Not the marketing department deciding after the fact that the car should feel track-capable. Actual drivers shaping how it behaves before a single unit ever left the factory. That's a completely different philosophy than most manufacturers take with their performance trims today. Now, performance like this obviously doesn't come cheap. Nothing wearing an M badge ever has. But here's the thing worth sitting with for a second. When you compare this to what Mercedes and Audi are currently charging for their hybrid-assisted alternatives, cars with less soul, less sound, and honestly, noticeably less personality behind the wheel, the M3 stops looking like an expensive indulgence and starts looking like the smart enthusiast choice. You're not just buying a fast four-door sedan here. You're buying into 40 years of BMW motorsport DNA, distilled into what might be its final pure form. Let's be honest, though, nothing on four wheels is perfect, and this car isn't either. On the plus side, that engine, that sound, the everyday practicality, the racing heritage, it's genuinely everything an M3 is supposed to be, all in one package. On the downside, this might, quite literally, be one of the last combustion engine M3s BMW ever builds. Fuel economy is not winning any awards here, and if you're someone chasing the latest EV tech, instant torque, and whisper-quiet luxury cruising, this car simply wasn't built with you in mind. And honestly, it doesn't want to be. So here's where I land on all of this. The 2028 BMW M3 isn't just another car rolling off a production line. It's a statement. A love letter to everyone who still believes driving should be an experience, not just a task you get through on the way to somewhere else. In a few short years, cars like this might not exist anymore. Not because they weren't good enough, but because the world simply moved on. So if you ever get the chance to drive one, take it. Feel that engine building through the revs. Hear that exhaust crack on every shift. Because right now, in this exact moment, we might be watching the final chapter of something truly, genuinely special. If you enjoyed this one, smash that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into the cars that actually matter, and drop a comment down below. Would you choose this combustion M3 over an electric alternative, or has the future already won you over? Let me know what you think. See you in the next one.